Hello, my name is John Anderson, and I am recording this to submit as evidence for my e-portfolio. This is a walkthrough of an assignment I did in Info 246, the PHP MySQL component, and this is a look at assignment 6, which consists of two different pages. One is a PHP homepage, and then the second one is called Assignment 6 book list, and that is the result page, which we'll go into as we walk through it. It's currently being hosted on the practice area of the website that was created by the professor, and I'm going to open it from here. So this is the basic website, and over here on the right is the code that follows it. Once something is entered into this field here, it will pull the next page, which is called Assignment 6 Book List, which I will bring up the code once it happens. The whole point of this is to query a SQL database that was created by the professor, Professor Perry. It consists of a list of books containing ISBN, author, publication date, title, and a number of different variables. This particular search is only supposed to yield title information. It's supposed to search for title information, but it's supposed to return ISBN, title, excuse me one moment, ISBN, title, the type of book, and the publication date. So the first instruction was, once it's to ensure that it's working, you would click enter with a blank field to yield the entire list from the database. So let's see if that works. And indeed it does. It populates all 16 fields, which is the total number of titles in the database. And if there was a type associated with it, it showed it in this column, the publication date, and obviously the titles and the ISBN. It is in order by alphabetical by the title, and then after that by type, and then by publication date. And then we'll go back and we will show you how this actually does return what you're looking for. So if I was to type in psychology, since I saw that there was a book in there about psychology, you would see that it does return just the book about psychology. But to show that it is looking for more than just one item at a time, if I was to type in the word "and," for example, you can see that there are three titles that have the word "and" in the titles. And they did still produce them in alphabetical order. Now I'll go back and I'll walk you through what the code looks like to accompany this. So this page is pretty basic. It's literally just coding the heading, which is the title of the page. It's giving the basic information about the background color and the font. It's giving a span to give the keyword, give this heading its style, and then it names this search field it's going to be just called keyword, as the input type is keyword. And you can see that it has a little note underneath it that says leave blank to list all titles. That's referring to this here. And then the input type is a submit button, and the value is find titles, which means once I click this, it will submit, and the process that it's running is called find titles, and that becomes more important once we get to the next page. So I'm just going to leave a blank to populate the next page, and then we'll show you how the book list PHP page works. Okay, the top looks very similar to the first page, obviously because the page is set up very similarly. It has the same heading, it has the same background, but once you get below that, there are a couple of other pieces of information here. The first thing it's doing is it's looking to make sure that it is in the right, it's querying the right server. And if there was an issue with it pointing to the right server, which is the Prof Perry server, it would give that as an error message. The next portion is where it's going to be giving it the qualifications to access that server. If it did not have the right information, it would return an error saying, the credentials are incorrect. So the name of that host is localhost. It's giving my student's user ID and the password, and the name of the database was just test database, which is what it was. It was a place that you would upload the assignments onto the website and allow you to make changes and play with it before you submitted it as your final assignment submission. And we'll keep going down here. Oh, and this is where I would say if for some reason none of this worked, if the database was not available, it would print out the headline, unable to connect to MySQL. Luckily, that didn't happen here. This is the SQL statement that's being issued to the database as a form of code. This is how the database is going to receive the instructions from my PHP document once that submit button was clicked. When the submit button is clicked, it's going to ask the SQL database to select the ISBN, title, type, and pub date from the database called book, which is where all the books are held. But it's only going to do that where the title is like the keyword, and the keyword is the variable that we put into the search field in the first page. So anything that's typed in there, whether it was the word psychology or whether it was the word and, that would be the keyword. Then it's going to take that list and it's going to put it in order, as I mentioned, by title first, which means it's going to put it in alphabetical order by title, A, D, F, G. But then after, say, if there was two entries that had the same title, it would then order them by type and then by pub date accordingly. It starts out by zeroing out the table by saying like the output display is going to start off with having nothing in it, and there are going to be 0 rows to start. And it's important to do this to set a baseline, so as it builds the table based on the return, it has somewhere to add to. This if statement is saying if there is no result, the exclamation is saying if there is not a result, it is going to output a red error message saying MySQL error, and then the variable is going to be given back from the SQL database, which is part of the program. So if there is an error, it will return a number that would be used to troubleshoot why there is an error, and then it will say the affected rows, and that would allow me to find out why there's an error. Luckily, there was no error, so this isn't really displayable. But after it gets to this point, it says, if there's no result, do this. However, otherwise, else, run the program. The first thing it's going to do is say, if their keyword is equal to, if the keyword is equal to nothing, as in there's nothing between these two quotation marks here. If that happens, then just display the entire list of current titles. The current titles that contain everything. That was how we were able to make the basic search where you click the button and everything shows up. This is the instructions that it gives to build the table that makes it so much easier to read. It gives you the instructions that the table border is 1, which is it's a unit of measurement for the width of the border, saying that it's going to be black, and all of this code here is saying how it's going to structure it. It's saying that there's going to be a column for the ISBN, and then another column for title, another column for type, and another column for publication date, and then it's going to close it out, and then it will build the rows from those columns. It's going to number the results, and that's how we were able to get this to populate down here. And this is saying for every row, it's going to check the results. It's going to add to the counter, and then it's going to do a loop. And that's how it's going to go to the first title. It's going to put this in here. It's going to extract all that data, put it into this field, and then it's going to go back again and do it to the next one. And it's going to keep on doing it for as many results as there are. And that's how it populates the table. And then down here, this is assigning a variable to each one, and that's as it pulls it from the SQL database, and that's how it puts it in here as well. And it knows how to put it into the TD, which is TD is the location in the column. So it's saying once you get to ISBN, put in the variable ISBN from that loop in the search. Then at the very end, as I mentioned before, there's a thing that says number of rows in results, and that's the row count. That's however many times it goes through here, that's the row count, and that's the number that it puts in right here. That's basically it. Once again, this is a submission for my ePortfolio for Competency 5, and demonstrating my ability to design, query, and evaluate information retrieval websites or information retrieval systems, and this was my submission for being able to design it. Thank you for the consideration.